Most special needs families have life insurance, but here's the problem: the way it's set up could actually hurt your child. Today, we have a dad who works in insurance, and we're going to break down the biggest mistakes we see. I'm going to introduce you guys to Michael Pereira. What's up, Mike?
Hey Craig, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Good, good, good. Very excited to be here with you today.
Yeah, man, this is needed, man. I'm glad that Daniel put us together.
Yeah,
Daniel's a good friend of mine, and he introduced me to Michael, and I saw what he was doing, and saw his beautiful website. Man, I can't wait to show you guys his website. But and all the stuff that he's doing, I wanted him to come on here and talk a little bit more. So, Michael, tell me a little bit about what you do and who you are.
of course. So first of all, I'm an autism dad. My son was diagnosed a couple of years ago, and this obviously motivated me to be able to build a platform, which is the Autism Voyage. We have more or less, I would say, 150 articles. We have a newsletter that goes out weekly to over 2,000 families. We have our own directory with professionals that are vetted. And obviously, we also focus on the insurance planning for families with special needs.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, between the two of us, we've seen hundreds of families make the same mistakes over and over. So
Oh yeah,
today we're gonna talk about them, and so we don't have to let anybody else go through that. We learn the hard way, so you won't have to. All right. So
100%.
we're definitely going to get into that. So now, one of the questions I have as far as insurance, why it doesn't apply to families with special needs.
Yeah, I would say at least for life insurance, this is not a one size fits all. And even though that's, one of the biggest mistakes is that a lot of families believe that they can go online, they can buy a coverage, and they may feel that they progressed, and most likely they have, because compared from not having nothing to having something, at least that's good. But this is not a one size fits all. There's different family dynamics. There's, you know about this. We have clients that may be single parents, divorced, blended families, siblings now, going into the possible guardianship role. There's so much difference between one family to another that everything, at least we do, is tailored to the family's needs and goals. So that's why I would say just providing normal cookie cutter advice, I wouldn't I wouldn't suggest it in our case.
And let me ask you a question as well. This is a question that I personally have, even though
Hmm.
I am in insurance, I do the same thing Mike does as far as insurance. I help families protect themselves with life
Hmm.
insurance. And I do other things as well, but life insurance is one of the things that's really most important to me. And with special needs kids and adults, are there certain carriers that you lean toward, or is it pretty much you can go to anybody you think?
No, that's a good question. It really depends, I would say, on what are we trying to solve. If there is, as an example, let's say if it's more that the parent is more, I would say, concerned of their own long-term care, right?
Okay.
Because the child may already have their benefits, may already be on path to being, stable. But now, because they focus so much on the child, now they're turning to focus on themselves, and they're worried about not having enough for a long-term care later on. Assisting living facilities and nursing homes are becoming very expensive. So that might be a use case that they want to solve a long-term care issue. Let's say if it's more around an income protection thing, that, for example, in my case, Christian was diagnosed, he's 7, he depends on me 100%. But if I get cancer, I get a stroke, my income is interrupted because of that. At the end of the day, it will result in everybody in the household getting affected. So what we're solving there, that could be an income protection solve. So it really depends on what are we trying to solve. It may also be, as an example, that there is a trust in place, or a special needs trust, and they want to leave something that's predictable. Anybody listening, obviously, this is a conversation you need to have with an attorney. But if you do have a trust, or are thinking about having a trust, that trust needs to be funded. You can have a trust, but if there's nothing to be funding it, it's like not having anything. So there could be different type of mechanisms to fund the trust. It can be real estate. There could be a brokerage account, for example. But there's also life insurance. Life insurance can be used as a funding mechanism to fund a special needs trust, and that could be again a area of concern for parents, and we can solve that concern with life insurance. So again, there's no real like specific carrier. It's more around what are we trying to solve for the family.
All right, got great information. Great information. Now, I tend to look at that as well as far as the special needs trust, something that
Mhm.
really needs to be in place. And we want to help as many families as we can understand, because I know it's a
Mhm.
lot, right? So that's why
Yeah.
we're here. We're here for you guys to reach out so we can walk you through all the different potholes that you may come across when you're dealing with these things. So,
Yeah.
and again, he has information with lawyers that he's familiar with, and I as well have as lawyers that I'm familiar with. So we can help you with that process. Okay. Now,
Mhm.
one of the things now that I see as far as mistakes that I see a lot is the wrong amount of coverage. Right.
Mhm.
I have term. I have permanent. I do IULs. I do a lot of different types of insurance, final expense,
Yeah.
and you have to get the right kind of coverage as far as the amount. You have to
Mhm.
make sure that amount is where it needs to be to make sure everything is covered. What you think about that?
I again, yeah, I 100% agree. And again, it's all about what are we trying. I would say aside from the amount, we need to think outside the box and see, okay, that amount is going to cover. What exactly? So for example, in our case, and when they say our case, our community's case is that we need to think there's a possible guardian, right? If there's a possible guardian that now needs to assume responsibility for your child and they may need to leave the workforce to be able to do that, they need income, right? So it's not only getting the amount of coverage that only would sustain your child, but also those around the child that may be taking care of them. So 100%, Craig, the coverage amount needs to be, really, really calculated. And that's why, we do annual reviews with our clients to make sure that that coverage is always updated. Family evolves. You buy a property, now you have more debt. You now have a new sibling. Family evolves, and so your life insurance as well should be evolving too.
Excellent, excellent. Now, from everybody who's watching this, if there was one thing that they can get from this podcast, and if
Yeah.
there's one thing that they can do, what would be that one thing that you would like for them to do?
Yeah, I would suggest, to creating your own letter of intent. That's something that you can do today. It doesn't cost anything. It's something which is not a legal document, but it is a very vital document for any family raising somebody that requires support. I'm going to explain a little bit why this letter of intent is so important. Like for example, in my case, if I get into a car crash, right, with Ellie, my wife, and we're a couple days in the hospital and somebody needs to take care of our kids, they should know, and at least for Christian side, they should know his profile. And this letter of intent provides that solution. Why? Because it outlines everything the child would require in case you would need to take care of them. In this case, for example, you're seeing here, it embarks family and support factors. It has information about the caregivers, living arrangements, social activities that the caregiver might not know. For example, in my case, my mom, she's the best grandmother. She's the best cook, and believe me, she cooks amazing. But maybe physically, she may not be able to take care of Christian, or maybe she may not know 100% of his allergies, of his routines. That's why this document is so important. So if you continue, this is step one. Step two, it also has emotional factors if there's any hobbies, interests, emotional triggers, emotional support. In our case, there we were some time that we did not go out to a restaurant for a long time. And one of the reasons was because when we would go out and Christian would go, I would take him to the bathroom, he would hear the blow dryer, the one you dry your hands.
Right.
It was a pure meltdown, sensory issues, right? So I would put that in my letter and document, in my letter of intent. So anybody who would knows that he has that sensory trigger when he hears blenders in the kitchen. When for example, when my wife would blow dry her hair, he would have a trigger. So that type of information should be here. So if you can continue, so we already have the family factors, emotional factor, the financial factors is very important that you have everything at least listed here so anybody can know if there's any trust, life insurance, guardianships, and not only for the child. Like for example, if I'm I don't know, in the hospital and I may need require, some sort of documents or something, maybe that caregiver can help me as well. But it should be there, is you continue. There's obviously the legal factors. This is where if there's any power of attorneys, trust, wills, guardianship, special needs trust, it should be there. And obviously the government factors, if there's any government help. Usually you also would put here any contact information, the therapist information, doctor's information, daily routines, medications. Everything should be in the letter of intent. And as you scroll down, you can see that you can also create your own. So it's not only a guide which explains what you need, you can also write it yourself and basically tailor it to your own family. And I would suggest that after you finalize it, give a copy to those family members that might, need to step in an emergency. At least this is a proactive thing that you're doing to be able to share it, and they have it there just in case.
That's awesome, man. That is so awesome. That is so. Then this is something that you guys can download today.
Yep.
This is free of charge. Download it today. Have it as one of the things that you're making progress. You're doing something to get this thing going, to get it started. So definitely, please download this document today. All right, Michael. Let's talk about some of the mistakes that we see.
Yeah. So obviously, the first one, which I agree, is the amount of coverage. That's a mistake that we see a lot. The second, not having a letter of intent. It's not something that everybody should have, and it doesn't cost anything. So, and I believe it's a good, document that you can, when doing it with a family, it's a good, just time to share with a family to do that. I would say also not updating beneficiaries. We've seen it, it, that there's clients that they have an existing policy and they believe that they're good.
Yes.
And when they see the beneficiaries, there it's ex spouses there that they haven't talked to that person for years and they may not have anything tied to them, but they haven't updated, the not even the policy, the beneficiary, but they're still paying for it. That's a mistake that we see a lot.
Right.
Um, I would say that another mistake is that I don't know, there's a very big trend I'm seeing that not only one parent has coverage. It should be both,
Right.
because either if it's the income and the head of household having perfect, because obviously that's essential, but also the stay-at-home parent. That if you think about if that parent's not there, how much would you need to be able to replace that parent, right?
Right.
The stay-at-home parent. That stay-at-home parent, they're a psychologist, they're a cook, they're everything. They do a lot of different roles in the household. And if you think about it, if would need to replace that parent, how much would it would be a lot. So
Yeah.
just shifting that mindset and really thinking about that both parents should have a good amount of coverage, not only one, which is the income earner. I would say both. And that's another mistake we see a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I see that quite often as well. One of the things that's important to me is that we finally get somebody to talk to in
Mm,
place because the conversation needs to be had. I gather a lot of information, right? But when I gather that information, sometimes it gets overwhelming because that
ah,
information just keeps piling up, piling up, piling up. One of the mistakes people make is they gather the information, but they really don't execute and
yep.
implement some of that information that they have. So
Oh
I
yeah.
would say one of the things I would love for them to do is talk to somebody as soon as possible. Set a date on the calendar. So if you write something down more so than put it up here, you're
Yeah.
more likely to get that thing done. So that's one of the
100.
mistakes I think that's really important. I want to talk about actionable steps, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm gonna go with the first one, and you go with whatever you come after that. But one of the first actionable steps I think is reviewing your beneficiaries. I think that's so important. You know, things change. You get divorced. You want to make sure those beneficiaries are up to date. So that's very important to me. What you think?
No, no, yeah, 100%. Also, just shifting away from that do-it-yourself mindset. I would say, because sometimes you may feel that you're progressing. It's like you're on cruise control, but you're going the wrong way.
Right.
I would say, you maybe think, oh, I'm doing good, I'm driving, I'm going, but it's the wrong way. And why? Because you're making decisions without the experience of a professional has going in and out every day, talking to families with different situations that they gain a lot of experience, and they're in the position to be able to provide expert advice. So I would say, something that can start, just shift away from do it yourself, and know that there are professional out there that are very equipped to be able to help you make an informed decision.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. You know, I just thought about something, Mike.
Yeah.
We're kind of unique in this respect.
Hmm.
We're agents, right? You know, we offer these different programs and
Yeah.
opportunities for these families, but we also are going through the same thing they're
Oh,
going through. You
oh
know,
yeah.
that makes us a little bit different than just going to somebody who doesn't know. Because I know
Hmm.
what that parent is going through. It just makes me try a little more harder to help them, and not
Oh,
to say the other people won't, but I know we will.
that's why one of the reasons why we started was because when Christian got diagnosed, that I don't like saying this, but we were in denial. We went through a lot of dark moments, a lot of dark questions, and unfortunately, every time we would meet with a professional, it was very transactional. It was more that they wanted to sell me something or recruit me. And it became very difficult to have a conversation about our family's future if there's just somebody telling us what to buy without even deep diving. So 100% when you're dealing with somebody who is has gone and is still going through that type of experience, it's a different type of vibe.
All right, Mike, thank you so much for doing this, man. I really, really appreciate it, man. We learned a lot today. And I want to tell everybody we're going to be doing some lives on TikTok, YouTube, all kind of social media. And what we're going to call it is ASD Dad,
ASD that's yeah, that's it.
ASD
Simple.
Dad, ASD Dad Lives. We're going to be doing some lives, and you guys can come on and ask questions and get some information from us, man. I'm going to attach Michael's website and that letter of intent to this podcast. Please look for that. And thank you guys for joining us. And you'll be seeing us around soon. Thank you again, Mike.
No, thank you. Great.